A shooting at the Kabul airport leaving one Afghan officer dead, 3 others injured, according to the German military. This as concerns grow over the Taliban gaining control over leftover U.S. weapons. Yesterday, Maria Bartiromo spoke about weapons in Afghanistan with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Listen to this.
I have heard that the Taliban now has more Black Hawk helicopters than Australia, one of the Five Eyes that's connected to America. Could you imagine that? Even if the Taliban cannot learn to fly those, where will they go? They'll go in the hands of Iran, of Russia, or of China. This is an embarrassment on the world stage that Joe Biden has provided us.
Joining me now, Texas Congressman and Navy veteran Tony Gonzales. Congressman, thank you so much for being here. You served multiple tours in Afghanistan. As always, thank you for your service. What is your take on this?
Yeah, no, my take is, look, Kevin McCarthy has it right. It's absolutely frustrating to see what is happening, the billions of equipment that is left behind, the fact that you've got Brits and French and others going out and retrieving their citizens when Americans are forced to stay behind in the Kabul airport. You know, Afghanistan is very personal. It's very personal to people. It's very personal to me. It's very personal to those that have served, the correspondents that have served, the NGOs. It's very personal. That's the part that this administration doesn't understand. We will do whatever it takes. We, those that served in Afghanistan, will do whatever it takes to make sure every American comes home safely. I can't reiterate that enough. I'm getting calls and texts. My phones are blowing up nonstop. You've got churches and NGOs putting together money so that way they can get extraction teams to send to Afghanistan. Where is Special Operations Command, right? General Clark is in charge of Special Operations Command. It's their duty, right, to go out and retrieve Americans. We're not seeing that on the ground. It's very frustrating.
What is going on? Do you know, in your role as a congressman, why there isn't any action? And one thing I just wanted to point out, because we keep talking about this August 31st deadline, President Biden yesterday, it seemed like he's keeping the door open to staying past this deadline, but the Taliban confirmed that they will not extend the August 31st deadline for withdrawal from Afghanistan. So that raises the issue about Kabul and the whole area turning into a war zone.
Yeah, first, you can never negotiate with terrorists. And the fact that we have Secretary of State Blinken essentially bowing down to the Taliban and letting them determine how things go forward is absolutely the wrong approach. So I don't trust the State Department at all. What does that mean? That means we have to rely on our military forces in order to get these people out, right? And the August 31st deadline, that's a week away. That's not a lot of time. So time is of the essence right now. What I'm hearing, like I said, I'm getting calls and texts and emails nonstop, is I'm hearing people that are in very desperate situations, literally begging me to help save their lives or of a loved one that they're close to. And I go back to it. Special Operations Command, based in Tampa, Florida, is responsible to get Americans out safely, right? And one of the things that's frustrating, myself and other lawmakers have reached out for days and we've heard nothing, right? So the problem is time is of the essence. Every hour that goes by puts Americans more and more in jeopardy.